Hi, I'm Alex, and welcome back to the Boathouse Paddle series, where we talk about everything concerning paddle. Today's topic is non-catalog products or prices. In general, if you're creating a checkout or if you're working with the Paddle API, you're passing in a reference to a product or price. So you'll create the products first, you'll create the plans as prices, for example, and it's all in the account and you just reference them. But Paddle does support dynamic or temporary one-off products and prices that you can pass in when you're creating a transaction, for example. What's the use case? Well, maybe you want to manage your products and prices in your own system. You have a CMS or a web shop system and you want to have them there and control all the prices and so on there. And then you just pass the current price and the product information into the transaction via the API. Or you have dynamic prices where the products are set in Paddle, but the prices change based on what the publisher, for example, for games or for ebooks says currently, like it's an up-to-date price that you want to pass in. Both are possible. Now, first off, you can't do this via the account. So I've got a new transaction open here, and in the product and price field here, you can only select what's in your catalog. Even if you hit new product here, it will be created in your catalog as a product. Whereas one-off products don't appear there by default. They are created in the background, but they have a specific type of custom. That means they won't appear when you ask the API for all of your products, for example, by default. Now, so in the UI, you can't dynamically create products and prices here on the fly. This may change in the future, but at the moment it's not possible. But what you can do is pass these in as a transaction item. So if you, via the API, create a transaction, and this transaction can then be passed along to Paddle Checkout. So for the user, they're just running through the normal checkout as you would expect. But here in the Create Transaction API, if you scroll down to the part where it asks or tells you what you can add as an item to that transaction. Items are what's actually being billed. And remember, you can create as many items as you want in Paddle billing for the transaction or even for a subscription. And here you can add a non-catalog item. The difference being you need to pass in the parameters, so you need to pass in the product description and all the pricing information that you want into the request, whereas otherwise for a catalog item, you just reference the price ID. But you can do that here, and then it'll create that transaction. You pass the transaction ID into the checkout, and then it will populate the checkout with the data that you've passed here as well. Same thing, of course, if you want to change your subscription, if there is an existing subscription there with a base fee, for example, and you want a dynamic seating cost, for example, so you calculate the seating cost based on what the current value is or the current price or their plan or whatever factors determine the price in this case, you can also add this to a subscription. And again, scrolling down to the section where we're adding items, here again you can see you can add catalog items and non-catalog items. The same thing applies if you're changing a subscription or creating a new transaction. You need to pass the information in that case. And that's how you add dynamic products and prices to your Paddle transactions to your checkout. That's all for today.